Okay, a few months ago now, sorry about that, I did a dramatic reading of a story what Andrew wrote when he was in third or fourth year, something like that, when he was around 14, and that was a video. And last night on Twitter, I said that I would do another video today, but the thing that I was actually going to do for the video for today, well, I thought that I had more sort of outtakes on my computer than I actually did, but I don't. So, in fact, just about every video that I actually have on my camera is me saying, oh, that's a video, when I actually meant to take a photograph. So, I thought that even though this video would much better have been suited to Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, or other names for Halloween, I thought that because this is an idea that I had, I would do this, and you would watch it, and you would enjoy it a lot. And yeah, it's a horror story, or horror, and it's called On the Seventh Day of Horror. And I wrote this when I was in first year, so I would have been 12. And on the front of it, I'll just describe it. I made a front cover for it. On the front day, it says the title, On the Seventh Day of Horror, but then horror is wrote in big red letters with blood dripping off them. Then there's a drawing of a ghost, and then the H is covered in spots, and the O has some form of pneumatic drill in it, and the first R is on fire, and the second R has a ghost above it, and the second O has a knife in it, or it could be an ice lolly. I'm not a fantastic drawer. And then the R has 3 scratches above it, probably symbolising a werewolf. Then there is a picture of a house with the moon shining in the window, and then there is another picture from inside the house this time of some spiral stairs that are not particularly well drawn. In fact, they look more like feces, and they have the light shining on them. And then I have glued a picture that I coloured in with crayon, but was originally black and white, of a witch stirring a cauldron. And yes, that's the cover of On the Seventh Day of Horror. And then on the first page of On the Seventh Day of Horror, we have the title again, On the Seventh Day of Horror, but horror is written in enormous capital letters, and the rest is all normal. And I like the fact that as well I've got the O and on capitalised, which is correct. Then I've got the T and H capitalised, which isn't correct, and then none of the rest of it is capitalised apart from horror. So poor grammar or punctuation. I'm not sure which one from Weldon there, but I digress. Here is the story On the Seventh Day of Horror, just to give you an idea of how horrible this story is. The entire thing is written in the creepy font from Microsoft Word 2000, so it's very creepy and very horrible. And yes, let's get underway with the story, shall we? The sun shone on Divingshire Way. That's a good name. And the leaves in the garden rustled as a gentle breeze blew over. Helena, our main character, breathed in the fresh air that came with autumn. She was happy again. And so everything seems to be in order. Mr. Hamill, her estate agent, came up behind her. That doesn't make any sense. She's all yours, miss. No apostrophe. He said, gesturing towards the house. He smiled at her. She smiled back. Thank you very much, sir. She was very polite. Until we meet again. Au revoir, said Mr. Hamill, and walked away. Goodbye, sir, and thank you, Helena cried after him. Helena's very, very polite. Sounds like a bit of a snob, actually. Mr. Hamill walked away. Helena sighed. Love you, Auntie, she muttered, looking towards the sky. Helena believes in ghosts, which, foreshadowing in that. When her aunt had died, Helena had inherited this mansion. It was massive. It was painted pearl white, with windows as clear as the sea in some far-off country. The windows winked at her, dazzling in the sun, the windows trying to come on to Helena there. She began to walk up the path. Her footsteps echoed through the neighbourhood, bouncing off the houses. She reached the stairs. They were made of unpolished wood. They had clearly been there for quite a long time, because they were unpolished. She stepped up, but her foot went right through, and to her horror, she saw that under the house was a bug infestation. Ants, millipedes, slugs, you name it, it was there. Millipedes? Okay, I've no idea what country Helena has inherited this mansion in, but, she let out a yelp. "Thanks, Auntie," she said to herself, and found her voice higher than usual. Helena sounds ungrateful. Little did she know that the house was holding much worse than bugs. The house held a more sinister secret. Helena opened the door to the house. A horrible sound met her. A heavy breathing filled the house. Helena started to tremble. She gave a moan. Oh my god, I think Helena and the house just started a relationship. There was a shadow at the top of the staircase. A shadow that was hardly human. All the parts of the body were enlarged. Ooh, Helena. The breathing came again. Helena turned on a light. The shadow was gone. That is typically what happens when one turns on a light in a house. She decided to ignore it, but she did begin to check her back quite a lot. For the next 6 days, she lived in peace without anything strange happening. She had dismissed the breathing as the house settling. But the 7th night was Halloween. Strange things happen on the night that spirits rise. New paragraph. A night for spirits, a night for ghouls, so lock your doors, don't go outside, fools. Respect their wishes, bring their favourite food. Appease the spirits, put them in a good mood. A night for spirits, a night for ghouls, lock your doors, don't go outside, fools. That is repetition again. The children ran up and down the neighbourhood chanting this. Halloween had finally arrived, but things were not normal. Things were not normal at all. A thick fog was forming on top of the mansion. From the top of the weather vane, which hasn't been mentioned before but has been mentioned now, to the bottom of the house, where it fell in thick waves. But it only happened to this house. The rest of the neighbourhood went untouched by this eerie fog. In the fog, a hole was left, not moving, always letting the full moon's rays shine through onto the old oak floor. Helena was letting warm tears fall down her face. Against her cold, pale face, they almost felt comforting. Overuse of the word face. She had let her cat out, but as soon as it touched the fog, it turned to dust. But her tears were not for her cat. She didn't care for her cat anymore, bitch. She cared for herself. Helena Barnes, lawyer for 50 people, dead. She would be on the news. Well, there was one upside to all of this. So, Helena Barnes, just to clear, is crying because her cat is dead, but she also doesn't care about the cat, and she sees the fact that when she dies in a hideous Halloween fog accident, that suggests there's no one to blame, in a mysterious Halloween fog incident, she'll be on the news, and the news will say that she was a lawyer for 50 people, and she considers this an upside to her whole situation. So Helena, not the brightest, God knows how she became a lawyer. Okay, we'll continue. The lights went out, the fire dimmed, and who uses a fire? And then she heard it. The heavy breathing filled the house once more. Oh, good Lord. But this time the shadow wasn't at the top of the stairs, it was in front of her. She grabbed a red-hot poker from the fire, so she'd actually had weapons just heating up in the fire for this very situation. She grabbed a red-hot poker from the fire, and the light was just enough to know she's using it as a torch to make out a face with nothing but a few strips of skin, bone, and muscle. Then the thick fog from outside began to come down the chimney. Could be smoke, Helena. It extinguished the remainder of the flames. She screamed. She looked around her and ran to the nearest door, the wine cellar. She opened the door and fell into red liquid. Blood. There was a book floating on top of the blood. Its pages were old and wrinkled. From the light from the poker, she could just read it. Right, okay, so she managed to keep her red hot poker above the layer of blood so that it would keep warm, and she's not even using it to stab the ghostly shadow thing. She's using it as a torch. In the book it said, it is the 31st of October, 1955, and they are coming. The fog has covered the house. Drums, drums in the darkness. I remember writing that, actually. That's stolen from The Lord of the Rings. It's the bit where Gandalf reads in the Fellowship of the Ring. Gandalf reads the dwarven book, and I think it's Merry or Pippin hits a bucket down a well, and then they come. Yeah, so drums in the darkness. They begin to beat faster. They now beat as fast as my heart. They have chased me to the wine cellar. They will not give up. They are coming. And at the bottom of the page was written, Rita Barnes. Auntie, whispered Helena. She was now crying harder than ever. Something moved around her ankle, and again. Then, as quick as a flash, it pulled her under. Then she heard the drums. Faster and faster, as quick as her heart. The fog began to come through the cracks in the door. They were coming. And the last thing she ever knew was the ghostly face in front of her and the sound of drums. So that's a thing. Oh, this was written at the bottom. I've written the date. It's the 13th of October 2007. So that would have been after the Doctor Who series 3 finale. So the sound of drums, that would have been taken as well from Doctor Who. That would have been the Master. So not only did I plagiarise Lord of the Rings in that work, I plagiarised Doctor Who. So I would have been 12 when I... Hang on. Maybe 11. No. 11, 12 when I wrote that. And I think we can safely agree that that's a masterpiece. That will be available, downloadable as an ebook. Never. In fact, that's a good idea. Leave in the comments below if you would download these things as ebooks. That's a fantastic idea. I'm going to make lots of money off of that. Anyway, Andrew and I have had exams recently, and that's why we've not been doing anything. So I would apologise, but I don't care enough to do that. But I do still like you. I can't speak for Andrew. And we'll be back doing more things soon. And hopefully a few different things. A few of the same things, a few different things. Spicing it up a bit. Okay, so thank you for your time. And I hope you enjoyed that. And you'll buy the ebook when it comes out.